Audio or video footage used in this video is owned entirely by the copyright holders. Horrific FX makes no claim of ownership and is simply using the footage for purposes of education, commentary, and criticism under fair use. Hello and welcome to another edition of Horrific FX's Top 13 Countdown in our Top 13 series. For this presentation, we'll be doing our countdown of the top 13 horror movie posters. Now, these are any horror movies, originals, sequels, remakes. I did not include honorable mentions because I'd probably be doing several different more top 13 poster series somewhere down the future, but for right now this will be just straight top 13. Again, if you enjoy these videos, please feel free to subscribe and be sure to check out the other videos. And before we continue, I'd like to also mention there might be some spoilers as we discuss these movies. So with that being said, let's get on with the countdown, and we'll start with number 13. Number 13, Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, I was actually just debating between this or Friday the 13th, the original, because I thought the original has a terrific poster too. And this is by far not the best in the series, but the poster is iconic. Now, in this presentation, it is just the original film posters, not teaser posters or anything like that, because the Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, had a terrific teaser poster, the legendary I Heart New York with Jason ripping through it. But for this video, it is strictly just the theatrical poster prints. And this print is a famous one. I've heard people who just roast this movie, cannot stand this movie, who say they love that poster. When I was a teenager, I had several horror movie posters on my wall. I had like a Halloween 6, the original Halloween, and then I had one from each film, and I always picked one of my favorites. Like for Nightmare on Elm Street, I was always a fan of the Freddy's Dead poster. I guess this is when I was real early in my teenage life. Texas Chainsaw and Hellraiser, and for Friday the 13th, I had this poster. I just love how it looks, and to me, this Jason was, I thought, like the best looking of the series. His mask, his form, and so forth. But for number 13 on this list, I had to go with Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Number 12, The Silence of the Lambs. Now, this is another classic poster in horror film history. Very close to the movie in the fact that it includes the Death's Head moth and that legendary classic picture of Jodie Foster with the Death's Head moth over her face, over her mouth, and just a very subtle but eerie and creepy poster. And you can't see that poster without picturing all those eerie, unsettling meetings with Hannibal Lecter in his cell between him and Clarice. And again, just a great poster for the great movie. Now, I was always a fan of one of the other posters, which had Clarice and Hannibal each with a Death's Head moth over their mouth. But this is the theatrical poster that came out and still was a classic, legendary horror film poster. Number 11, The Thing. Now, this is the poster for the remake, John Carpenter's remake. Of course, this is a remake of The Thing from Another World. And this John Carpenter directed Thing, we've spent several videos talking about The Thing, from the theme, or from the being one of the top films of the 80s and so forth. But this poster is a terrific poster for this film. Um, as you see the poster in the presentation here, it leaves a lot to the imagination. What is this thing that you're seeing? What is this form? Is it alien? Is it a person? What person is it? What character? What's going on? And it really seemed to fit in for classic posters that came out in the early 80s and really played along the whole idea. As those of you who've seen the movie, what is this thing? Who is this thing possessing? Where is it? What is it? And the poster plays right into it. Number 10, The Omen. Now, this is for the original Omen that starred Gregory Peck. As you see the poster on the presentation video here, just another classic poster. The Omen has always been one of my favorite horror films, and even though it's a widely popular and successful horror movie, I always felt it seemed to get overshadowed by The Exorcist along those religious tone movies. And it is such a great movie, and the poster is just so terrific. You have Damien there, and the shadow coming forward, being a shadow of the hound, that plays along so well into that movie and gives you an unsettling look as to what this movie is about and what it could be. And another understated part of the poster too is in the title of The Omen. You can see in the O there from Omen the 666, which kind of gives you more of a hint as to what's coming ahead, and plays along really great into with the story of the movie. Number 9, The House on Haunted Hill. Now again, this is for the original Vincent Price House on Haunted Hill. Again, as you see the poster on the video there, just a very, in my opinion, fun horror movie poster. It's eerie, but it's kind of a fun thing. It's not like a creepy poster. It's artistic looking, and just a really fun and kind of creepy at the same time poster. As you see out there, a skeleton holding a hanging woman, and of course Vincent Price holding the severed head, and definitely one of my favorite early movies. Well, not really early, but one of my favorite black and white horror movies, and one of my favorite Vincent Price movies. And this poster was always a poster I really loved. I remember getting a poster for it when I was, about 10 years old or so. And it was so fun to just stare at that every night before going to bed. So definitely a cool poster, especially for such a cool, creepy, and fun movie at the same time. Number 8, Children of the Corn. Now again, this is for the original film, and this to me is one of the most underrated movies in general in horror history. It's a popular movie and people like it, but I think it's vastly underrated. And several factors of it: great characters, great story, great setting. The music is really good, and one of the top things for me is the poster for the film. It is such a cool looking poster. As you see it on the presentation there on the video, if you look closely, if you never noticed it before, if you look closely in the background in the corn, there are the actual children there with the eerie, creepy, glowing eyes, which is always something that stood out to me. And it's just so iconic, that image of the hand holding that weapon there. It's just so artistic and creepy and cool looking. And it's also underrated, but the fact that the poster is in that red color, reddish orange color, plays along perfectly with the black there of the corn and the children and the hand holding the weapon. A really, really cool poster from a really good movie. Number 7, Jaws. Now, in past videos, I have mentioned that as many people might not like or many people will disagree with me, I've never been a huge fan of Jaws. I'm just not a fan of the water, aquatic, summer, type horror movies. Um, but I do understand its place in horror movie history, and uh, as I've included in several lists, so forth, like top horror movie theme songs, uh, Jaws is a legendary horror film, and the poster is no exception. If you've never seen Jaws, you see that poster, you know what it's going to be about. The legendary, picture there of the um, girl swimming and the shark just right underneath her. And you know what's coming, you know it. And that's a good mark of a poster for a horror film. Number 6, Fright Night. Now, this is another poster for an original film. And when you talk about horror films of the 80s, this is one that not many people will mention, but is a terrific, terrific movie. Um, and the poster is so iconic, as you see it there in the video. The image of the house on the street, and in the above the house, that shadowy, cloudy vampire face. And you think of like those great 80s posters for all these slasher films and so forth, and Fright Night is one of the top posters from that time, and a very nice and cool poster for a very, very good 80s horror movie. Number 5, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, this is another very, very good horror movie. Um, so many horror movies before this were just like one image. You think of some of the films like Exorcist, Halloween, Omen, you have like one artistic picture there. But Nightmare on Elm Street, you have so much for that poster going on, between Nancy, the great font that they used for A Nightmare on Elm Street's title logo, to Freddy, but not really showing too much of Freddy, kind of showing the skull-like aspect of Freddy, and the claws, and the fact that Nancy's just hiding under her sheets plays along so well for the movie, and it's such great artistic. As we do, if I do more of these videos for top posters, you'll see other Elm Street series posters, because I think in all horror movie history, the Elm Street series has the best collection of artistic posters. Such great art for the posters in that series, and it all kicked off and started with A Nightmare on Elm Street 1 from 1984. Number 4, Halloween. Now, anyone who knows me knows Halloween is my all-time favorite horror movie, and all-time favorite movie in general. And the poster is no exception. Even though you see the poster, if you haven't seen the original, if you haven't seen any of the Halloween movies, and you see this poster, you think the killer is going to be sitting there in a pumpkin mask, which isn't true, of course, with being the white Michael Myers mask. But the poster is so iconic, that pumpkin face with the knife slashing forward, and the Halloween logo type, and so forth, and the legendary tagline, "The night he came home." It's so iconic. Um, from the moment I was a horror fan, I always had the original Halloween poster in my room, and unfortunately, when I moved several years ago, it got lost in the uh, move, but I was able to find actually a better quality poster board. And like I said, I always make sure to have a copy of that poster in my room. It's just such a great, iconic poster. Number 3, The Exorcist. Now, one of the things I love about this poster is if you have not seen The Exorcist, when you look at that poster, if you don't know what The Exorcist is really about, and you see that poster, it really gets you thinking, what's going on? Of course, obviously, the poster there that you see is um, the father before he enters into the house, the exorcist, before he enters into Reagan's house, and looking up, and the shadow or the light beaming down from Reagan's room, the foreboding, feeling what is up there, what is looking down or shining down on the exorcist there. And I think a great thing from a movie poster is if it gets you wondering what's going on, gets you more excited for a movie. And I think the Exorcist poster does just that. Number 2, Rosemary's Baby. Now, as you see the poster there in the video, kind of like the Exorcist, where I just explained how you kind of wonder what's going on. You kind of get that with Rosemary's Baby too. Of course, you look at the poster and you have the baby stroller there, or baby carriage, and Rosemary, her image behind it there, and the green coloring they did for the poster, the green and black and white, and just going with those basic colors really gives it an eerie feeling. You don't know going in, you don't know what this movie's about, what's going to happen, what is so special about this baby. And the film really, again, just like I said with The Exorcist, gets you thinking, which is always, like I said, great. And it worked really well, especially for such a very good horror film like Rosemary's Baby. Number 1, The Evil Dead. Now, again, I'm a huge 1980s horror film fan, and Evil Dead is always one of my favorite films. And this poster is so iconic. Um, I remember for years looking up countdowns of horror movie posters, and you have a wide variety. You have some people say Halloween was the best, Exorcist was the best. Um, you know, some people saying Reanimator is the best, and so forth. Everyone throwing out so many ideas and different posters, and I've even seen a couple countdowns that said Nightmare on Elm Street 3 was the best, and so forth. But you look at almost every top poster countdown, Evil Dead is in the top like 3. And this poster is just so iconic. The girl being dragged by an arm underneath the ground. And before that time, you really didn't have a poster like that, so it played really well. And the fact that when you watch that movie, it was just nonstop in your face with the Evil Dead right there. Such a great movie, of course, between the character of Ash and the setting, and how they didn't have a huge budget and still made a good quality movie that scared the crap out of you. Even Stephen King saying it was a terrific piece of horror, and that poster just plays right along with it. All right, and that will wrap up this video for the Horrific FX Top 13 Horror Movie Poster Countdown. If you like this video, please feel free to check out all of the other Top 13 Countdown videos and other videos I've created about different horrific effects products and makeups and so forth. Again, I'm relatively new to doing these videos, so I understand I don't have the greatest voice. I'm maybe not the most fun-loving kind of guy, with being fun and lighthearted, but please bear with me. I hope you enjoy these videos, and we'll see you next time with another Top 13 Countdown.